I was in my workspace, going over the latest cycle of financial summaries, when my phone vibrated across the table. I glanced at the screen. Leo was calling. That caught me off guard. He usually texted first. A direct call from him almost always signaled something serious, something he couldn't or wouldn't write down. The moment I answered and heard the tremor in his voice, a cold tension wrapped around my chest. "Marcus, man, I need you to sit down. Right now." I was already in my chair, but the strain in his voice made my pulse spike. "Leo, what is it? Why do you sound like that?" He paused for a beat. "Look, you know I hate dumping stuff like this on you, but it's Natalie. She's out at some lounge right now. And you're not going to like what I saw." For a second, I let myself hope. Maybe she was just out with a group, letting off steam, dancing a bit. Then Leo's voice dropped to an almost inaudible murmur. "She's basically glued to some guy out on the dance floor. She's grinding up against him like they're in a music video. And it's not just some random guy, it's Elliot. Yeah, that Elliot. Your old friend. They're making out like nobody's watching. And her hand, man, her hand's deep in his pocket. She's feeling him up." My whole body locked up. Elliot, her college flame, the one who broke her heart years ago. I gripped the phone tighter. "Wait, Elliot? And this is happening in public? Are you positive?" "Positive," Leo said. "I wouldn't call unless I was dead sure. Sasha's here too. And Megan. They're hyping her up, laughing, acting like it's some kind of spectacle, like it's all a joke at your expense." It felt like the floor dropped beneath me. My partner, wrapped around the man who once ghosted her, performing for a crowd of people I once considered family. It couldn't be real. It couldn't. But Leo wasn't the kind to fabricate things like this. I clung to the last whisper of disbelief until he added, "I'm sending you the place. It's called Violet Room." "I'm sorry, Marcus." A new notification popped up on my screen. Location shared. Everything after that blurred. I grabbed my coat, bolted out, and drove like a man possessed. Red lights and traffic rules became irrelevant. Fury surged inside me like a dam ready to burst. Sasha and Megan. Those two had dined at my house, toasted birthdays, promised to keep an eye on Natalie when I was away, and now they were spectators to my humiliation. I screeched to a stop outside the Violet Room, neon signs pulsing, the ground trembling from the bass inside. The doorman barely glanced up, but Leo was waiting nearby, gesturing me in. "They're near the upper bar, past the center floor," he said, nodding toward the crush of bodies. The music was deafening, the rhythm pounding in my ears like war drums. I pushed through the haze of perfume, sweat, and flashing strobes, blind to anything but the rage. Then I spotted them. Natalie, practically draped over Elliot like he was the last man on earth. Her hand was clearly stuffed into his pocket, her face tilted toward his as she kissed him like she had all night to savor it. His arms locked around her hips, fingers creeping down her back. She shifted slightly, lips parted, and kissed him again, slow, indulgent. My chest tightened, a silent scream caught in my throat. Off to the side, Sasha cradled a cocktail, grinning. Megan was perched on a bar stool, eyes gleaming with amusement. These people had once sworn loyalty, shared memories. Now they were just spectators to betrayal. Unbelievable, absolutely unreal. I elbowed past a dancing pair and closed the gap. Natalie caught sight of me just as I stepped into their space. She pulled away from Elliot, not quickly, not guiltily, but slowly, like it was no big deal. There was no embarrassment, no panic. Her lips curled in a half smile, gloss smeared from the kiss, sweat glinting under the lights. "Oh, Marcus," she said lightly, as if greeting me at a brunch. "Hey." I raised a firm hand, palm out. "Don't. Not a single damn word." My voice came out disturbingly steady. The fury bubbling inside stayed just below the surface, and I wasn't about to give her, or anyone else, the spectacle of watching me explode. She withdrew her hand from Elliot's pocket with a casual shrug. Well, guess the secret's out now, huh? I asked for a separation. I was going to break it to you soon. A separation? I echoed flatly. So your plan was to parade your affair in a public place, with Sasha and Megan clapping from the sidelines? Natalie, unbelievably, gave a light nod. I mean, I wanted you to know Elliot's part of my life again. That I love him, and I'm done pretending with you. She let out something between a scoff and a shaky laugh. Anyway, Sasha stepped in, a smug sneer on her face. Don't pin this on me. You've been ignoring Natalie for months, Marcus. She deserves to feel something again. I didn't think, I reacted. My hand latched onto his collar, shoving him backward. His drink spilled as he stumbled, liquid splashing onto the floor. A few onlookers gasped. The music didn't stop, but the mood changed fast. You want to talk about needs, Sasha? I growled through clenched teeth. You sat at my table just weeks ago pretending to be my friend. Then you push her to play out this circus act with her ex? You absolute fraud. Megan leapt down from her perch. Sasha, stay back, she snapped, like she thought I might flatten him. Maybe I would have. She turned to me, eyes blazing. You know what, Marcus? You've always been a control freak. No wonder Natalie finally snapped. I didn't even glance her way. My focus was pinned on Natalie. How long? I asked, my voice tight, shaking. How long have you been sleeping with him behind my back? She rolled her eyes slightly, annoyed more than ashamed. 3 months, she said, almost too gently. We reconnected after he came back to the city. I was trying to figure out how to let you down easy. And you thought this, making out with him at a nightclub, was the easy way. My control cracked, voice rising. You're cruel. You know that? From the side, Elliot moved in, tall and smirking, his stance radiating smug confidence. She's made her choice, man. Back off. You don't get to threaten her anymore. I turned in a flash, closing the gap, grabbing his expensive shirt at the collar. You think I'm bluffing, you pathetic parasite? My free hand curled into a fist. I'm giving you one shot to step away before I make an example of you. He hesitated, just for a second, but then pride or arrogance pushed him forward. Touch me again, and you'll regret it. Wrong move. I slammed him onto the bar counter. He cried out as his hips slammed against the edge. Shrieks erupted around us. He tried to fight back, but I had him pinned, his cheek pressed against the sticky wood. The bartender recoiled. Through the thunderous music, I caught someone yelling, Megan maybe, screaming for security. I was past reason. Ice-hot rage took over as I ripped the belt from my jeans with one hand, still pressing Elliot down with the other. He thrashed beneath me, but I wrenched one of his arms behind his back, brought the belt up and brought it down hard. The leather cracked against him. He cried out, louder than I expected. I hit him again. Gasps and murmurs filled the room. Some people stood frozen. Others raised phones. The energy in the air was electric, horrified, voyeuristic, total chaos. Natalie shrieked, face twisted in panic. Marcus, stop it! Sasha lunged at me, grabbing my shoulder. I spun and shoved him hard. He landed on the floor with a bark of pain. Then came the guards, 2 of them. One wrapped a heavy arm around my chest, the other pried my arm off Elliot's back. I managed one final, satisfying whip of the belt before they yanked me away. Breathing hard, chest heaving, I looked around. The entire club had stopped to watch. Cameras were up, faces blurred in the flashing lights. The bartender stood frozen, eyes wide. The bigger of the guards leaned in close, his breath hot against my ear. That's enough, buddy. You're done here. I tore free from their grip without fighting it. No use struggling now. Elliot rose slowly behind me, face flushed and jaw tight, scanning the bar as whispers buzzed around him. He reached up, touching the side of his face where the bar had kissed his cheekbone. It was already turning a sick shade of red, swelling. He looked at me, eyes narrowed in rage and humiliation. "You're out of your mind," he spat. I barked out a sharp, joyless laugh. "Then call the cops. Go ahead. I'll hit back with a suit for alienation of affection. You want your name in court records? You want press? I'll see to it that you're publicly dragged, smeared, and left with nothing but lawyer bills. I swear to God I will bury you in paperwork." His mouth opened, but no words came. That flicker in his eyes? That was fear. He knew I meant every syllable. The security guards didn't bother with ceremony. One grabbed my arm, the other shoved open the door, and they launched me into the night air like yesterday's trash. The neon sign above flickered, casting broken light across my face as I stumbled onto the curb. "Don't come back!" one of them barked, as if I would. I'd done what I came for. Elliot and Natalie got the message, loud and violent. I wasn't going to vanish into the background like some defeated husband. Kevin appeared from the sidewalk, eyes wide, breathless. "Marcus, Jesus, that was holy hell, man." I tugged my shirt straight, my chest still rising and falling like an overworked engine. He had it coming. My jaw clenched. Truth is, he's lucky I stopped there. Kevin gave me a half nod, still processing. "Let's get you out before someone files something formal." I nodded and slid into my car. The engine turned over, but I didn't drive. Not yet. I sat there, palms on the wheel, vision blurred with betrayal. My so-called friends, my wife, her comeback lover. They turned my life into a grotesque little cabaret act. Under the pulse of nightclub neon and the scent of asphalt, I thumbed through my contacts and called Leland Grant, my litigator for when things got nuclear. If Natalie wanted a war, I'd bring scorched-earth. He picked up on the second ring. His voice was calm, surgical. I gave him the story from start to finish. Natalie's infidelity, the public display, the friends who enabled it, the way she looked at me like I was already out of the picture. He let out a soft whistle. "Sounds like you've got fire in your blood tonight, I get it. But let's take this smart. We destroy her in court, not in clubs." "Fine," I bit out. "I'm listening." "Good. Let's start with assets. The house. Did you own it before the marriage?" "Yes, fully mine." "Titled in your name alone?" "Always has been." He hummed in approval. "Then she has no claim. Separate property, untouchable." "Business is cleaner," I added. "Technically belongs to my father's corporation. I'm salaried on paper. She can't touch a cent." "Brilliant. That protects the lion's share. Joint accounts?" "Emptied and frozen 2 hours ago. She'll wake up to zeros." Leland chuckled darkly. "That's cold and smart. Just be ready. She's going to come hard for spousal support." "Let her," I snapped. "She'll get whatever the judge forces out of me, not a penny more." "Then we're in business," he said. "Keep your head down. No more bar fights, no more belt theatrics. You let me do the damage now." I ended the call with a single nod, knuckles tight around the steering wheel. The war had begun, but not the kind they expected. I ended the call and exhaled, lungs trembling. For the first time all night, I felt a brittle kind of control, a makeshift dam holding back a flood. Home was waiting. When I stepped inside, the silence hit harder than expected. Not peaceful, hollow, menacing even. The lights glared down too bright, casting hard shadows. Everything in the house felt misaligned now. Wrong. On the mantel, a photo stared back at me, Joyce and me, grinning at someone else's wedding, locked in a memory that no longer meant a damn thing. Naive. That's what I'd been. I walked over and ripped the frame from the shelf, barely looking at it before tossing it straight into the trash with a cold thunk. I wasn't done. I pulled out my phone and scrolled until I hit a name I hadn't touched in years, Jacob Barlow, a Marine buddy, the kind of man you call when you need something done quietly, or with the kind of noise that makes people back down. He picked up instantly. "Aaron? Hell, didn't expect to hear from you. I need a favor. Bring the crew. Everything of Joyce's, clothes, jewelry, bags, shoes, I want it boxed, bagged, and dumped. Tonight." He laughed. "Still the same old devil. Half an hour." They arrived like a moving storm. Jacob, Jose, and 2 more hulking silhouettes, all ex-military, the kind of men who didn't blink at chaos. I barely said a word, just led them upstairs, opened the closet doors, pointed at her half of the world. "Torch it in spirit," I said. "Tread as heavy as you want." Jose grinned like a wolf. "You sure, boss? You want this symbolic or savage?" "Both." They moved with practiced precision. Luggage zipped open, hangers clattered, stilettos were stepped on like roaches. Her vanity drawer, once meticulously organized, was overturned, the contents spilled like guts. Tubes of lipstick crushed under boots, perfume bottles hurled into boxes without care. Then came the wedding dress, buried in a garment bag in the back closet, like a relic from a life that had already died. Jose pulled it out, held it up with 2 fingers like it stank. "Orders?" I folded my arms. "Defile it." And they did. He cracked open a beer and poured it over the lace. The amber liquid soaked the bodice. Then a glob of spit followed. Finally, with mock ceremony, he turned his back slightly and unzipped. The others whooped low, guttural approval as he pissed across the silk and beading like it was enemy territory. No one stopped him. Not me. The scent of ammonia rose in the air. I felt no guilt, only something cold and clear inside me, a cruel kind of relief. When it was done, they rolled the dress up and tossed it like garbage onto the heap outside. Mission complete. Almost 2 hours passed before the doorbell rang. I didn't check the camera. I hoped it was Joyce. Maybe she'd come to rage or beg. Either would have satisfied me. But it wasn't her. It was Victoria, her mother. Regal even now, with her iron-gray hair swept back and her lips pursed like she was swallowing a lecture. Behind her stood 2 unwelcome ghosts, Paul and Linda. For a beat, no one spoke. Her eyes flicked to the stack of boxes lining the porch like offerings to the gods of war. "Aaron," she began. I pointed to Paul and Linda. "Those are Joyce's. Take them, or let them rot." Paul looked like he wanted to talk back, but Linda tugged his sleeve and muttered something. They started hauling boxes like chastened kids, eyes averted. I stepped aside, letting Victoria in. She walked carefully through the wreckage, her heels clicking against the hardwood, the smell of spilt perfume and old dust lingering. She sat on the edge of the couch, back straight. I stood, arms folded, silent. "Aaron," she said gently, "I'm not here to excuse what she did. I saw it too. I was there. She humiliated you, lied, cheated. It was despicable." I didn't answer. The silence said enough. She continued anyway. "But I came because I've known you a long time, and I want to be honest with you as someone who still respects you." My jaw tightened. I didn't soften. "She made her choice," I said at last. "Now I'll make mine, and I don't owe her anything, not even a kind word." Her eyes glistened, but she nodded. The house was too bright again, too quiet. The war was in motion now, 1 part public, 1 part legal, 1 part spiritual, and I was no longer fighting to save anything. I was fighting to end it on my terms. Victoria spoke softly, eyes down, picking at a spot on her knee. "She called me after you left the club. Told me about Zachary. She said you attacked him, humiliated him. That was assault, Aaron." "Yeah, I know," I said, letting the sarcasm drip like poison. "Let him file charges. I'll bury him in paperwork and court dates until he begs for air." Victoria's gaze faltered. "The reason I came is because she's not done with him. She says she's going to keep seeing Zachary, that she wants a divorce, claims you're too controlling, that you never supported her creativity, her ideas. She always had complaints, Aaron." I scoffed, voice sharp. "Then why didn't she say any of that when it mattered? If she was unhappy, she could have asked for therapy or walked away like a grown adult. Instead, She played dress-up behind my back and paraded it through our social circle like a stage show. Victoria's expression twisted with regret. I'm not defending her. I saw it. But if you go scorched earth on her, none of us walk away clean. Not her, not you, not even the people caught in between. A bitter laugh escaped me. So now I'm supposed to be merciful? No, she said, shaking her head. I'm asking you to calm down long enough to think clearly. Let her go, Aaron. If she's done, let her be done. Don't set her life on fire just to watch it burn. My jaw clenched. An old, hot rage surged up from the pit of my chest. She already torched mine, I hissed. Publicly, with no warning. 5 years of marriage blown to pieces in front of half the damn town, and you think I care any more who gets burned? Victoria's eyes brimmed with tears. Then, something I never thought I'd see. She sank to her knees in front of me, that proud, immaculately composed woman now trembling in front of my living room couch. Please, she said, voice barely holding. She's my daughter, but I know how far you'll go. If you divorce her with nothing, strip her clean, she has nowhere to land. She'll move back in with us, but it'll destroy her. She's already drinking. She said things, threatened to spiral if you cut her off completely. I'm afraid, Aaron. I don't think she's bluffing. I stared down at her. The image of Joyce crying felt so distant now, like a memory that belonged to someone else. I wanted to feel something. But rage leaves no room for pity. So now I'm responsible for making sure she doesn't bottom out? She dove, Victoria. I didn't push her. She looked up, face pale. I'm asking you not to push her farther. Don't crush what little's left of her. Then, barely a whisper, she's pregnant. Everything in me went still. What? My voice came out low, dangerous. She found out just days ago, Victoria said, voice cracking. She didn't tell you because, well, everything happened so fast. She panicked. She's not even sure who the father is. A furnace ignited in my chest. You mean she was screwing him raw, too? Victoria winced. There's a chance it's yours. There's also a chance it's not. But if there's even the slightest possibility it's your child. My stomach churned. I tried to picture Joyce pregnant, tried to imagine a child caught in the middle of this wreckage. For a split second, something stirred, a flicker of instinct. Then the disgust drowned it. Tell her this, I said coldly. I'll wait on finalizing the divorce until we know whose child it is. If it's mine, I'll do what's required, legally. But if it's his, I leaned forward. Then he can pay the support while she drinks herself into oblivion. Victoria stood slowly, shoulders trembling. Tears streaked down her face. You used to be kind. I met her eyes, flat and emotionless. I was. Don't forget who taught me not to be. Your daughter. She left without another word. Within a week, the town ignited. Everyone had an opinion. Some whispered that I'd snapped, that I'd brutalized Zachary in front of witnesses. Others quietly applauded it, calling it justice. Old acquaintances suddenly picked sides. Even business associates started making veiled inquiries, curious whether I was spiraling or ascending into something far more dangerous. Paul and Linda? Done. They tried to salvage their reputations. Didn't matter. They'd lost my respect, and more importantly, they'd lost my company's support. Their startups depended on our IT infrastructure, and when their contract expired, I didn't renew. Not after multiple ignored notices. Legally, I wiped their hosted data, clean and by the book. But that didn't soften the blow. Accounting databases, client lists, versioned code repositories, all gone. Their operations collapsed within days. Phones stopped ringing, vendors pulled out, investors grew skittish. I didn't even have to lift a finger beyond a quiet line in an internal email. Terminate access on the 14th. No backup. A war was underway. Not loud, not public anymore. This wasn't rage. This was strategy. Meanwhile, Zach's workplace, Mr. Patel's manufacturing firm, caught wind of his extracurricular scandal. The tip came anonymously, of course. No company wants scandal, let alone legal liability. He was dismissed within days. Performance issues, they claimed on paper. We both knew better. Joyce's affair didn't just ruin a marriage, it torched Zach's livelihood. And with her name now a stain whispered in every boutique, cafe, and committee circle, she had nowhere left to turn but down. I filed the divorce petition shortly after, cited adultery, attached high-res photos from the club. Kyle had been a quiet genius with the lens. She didn't argue. Couldn't. Then came the wild card, the pregnancy. Her lawyer tried to stall the process, waiving the need for a DNA test like it might magically shield her from consequences, claimed it could impact financial settlement. But Douglas, my attorney and a man with fangs behind his spectacles, made things crystal clear. The house was premarital property. The business? Technically my father's, with me listed as a modestly compensated employee. On paper, I owned next to nothing. There was no fortune to split and certainly no entitlement. The judge agreed. So while they pushed for a paternity test, the court moved ahead. Joyce was only 6 or 7 weeks along, far too early for conclusive results. The judge scheduled a post-birth custody review, but granted the divorce immediately. And then came the final twist of the knife. Because Joyce officially out-earned me, the court awarded me spousal support. $500 a month. For 2 years. Or until I remarried. She screamed in the courthouse parking lot, called me manipulative, psychotic, a con artist who orchestrated the whole marriage as a trap. I didn't flinch. When that decree hit the judge's desk, it was done. 5 years erased in a signature. I walked out lighter than I'd felt in months. But the chaos didn't vanish, it just regrouped. A month later, Victoria returned. Not composed this time, furious, red-eyed, shaking. Zach, she said, had skipped town. Some early blood work or rumor made it clear he wasn't the father. He'd vanished without a forwarding address. Left Joyce mid-pregnancy, mid-breakdown. That same week, Joyce was admitted to the hospital. Exhaustion, stress. Victoria blamed me. I told her flatly, I gave her a chance to end things quietly. She made her choices. This is where they led. She didn't respond. Just left with the same look in her eyes she had the day she begged me to show mercy. But I was done bleeding for people who mistook my silence for weakness. I focused on rebuilding, on reclaiming what she'd hollowed out. I got 2 German shepherd pups, Tank and Scout at first, but I later renamed them Titan and Luna. They gave me structure, joy, something untainted. I'd forgotten what it felt like to come home to something excited to see you. No manipulation, no lies, just devotion. And then came Emily. We met at the dog park. Her shepherd, Rex, was a friendly brute who bonded instantly with my 2. We talked. First about leashes, dog food brands, grooming routines, then about hiking routes, books, life. It felt real, unforced, no performance, no game. She asked once, gently, about my past. I gave her a measured version, enough to acknowledge the damage, not enough to reopen wounds. She listened, didn't produce, just nodded and moved closer, and for the first time in years, I exhaled. The town buzzed with aftershocks. Paul and Linda's downfall became a slow-motion collapse. My terminated support services triggered chain failures, data gone, systems crumbling. Small businesses turned on them. Lawsuits followed. Investors fled. Their marriage, according to whispers, fractured beyond repair. Linda supposedly moved in with an elderly aunt. Paul was seen pacing outside a closed office, screaming into his phone. Poetic justice, I suppose. As for Joyce, radio silence, no updates, no letters, no child support claims. I didn't ask questions. If the baby was mine, I'd be contacted. If I wasn't, I didn't care. And if something happened in between, well, that was her burden to carry. The wound she left? It scabbed over. Left a scar, sure, but even scars fade. Life, finally, began again. I didn't answer right away. For a second, the only sound was the baby crying, high-pitched, hungry, maybe scared. Titan shifted restlessly beside me, sensing the agitation. Joyce looked like she might collapse. Sweat stuck her hair to her forehead. She had no diaper bag, no stroller. Just that threadbare sweater and a baby wrapped in a hospital-issued blanket. "You've been drinking?" I said flatly. She flinched. "A little. Not around the baby. Just late at night. I'm overwhelmed. I'm not asking to move in. I just need a night. A place to rest. A shower. Please." I stared at her. This woman who had once shared my bed, now shaking and hollow-eyed, asking me for sanctuary. After setting fire to everything we built, she came dragging her ruin to my doorstep, looking for mercy. Not for love, not for closure, just mercy. I glanced at the infant again. Tiny fists, mottled skin. His whimpering sounded more desperate now. And still, no part of me softened. Not really. "You shouldn't be here," I said, my voice cold as steel. "You should be at a women's shelter, or with your mother, or at the hospital. You need help. I'm not the kind that helps anymore." Joyce's knees buckled slightly, and she leaned against the porch post for balance. "Just one night. One hot meal. Please, Aaron." I didn't move. "You want me to feel sorry for you?" I said. "But everything you're dealing with? You handed it to yourself, gift-wrapped. You walked out of a marriage and into a fantasy, and now the real world's clawed its way back. That baby didn't ask for this, but you did." Her eyes darted wildly. "So that's it? You're not even human anymore?" I looked at her, really looked, and for the first time, I didn't see the woman I used to love. I didn't see the betrayal either. I saw a sinking ship, dragging everything nearby down with it. "I'm exactly as human as you made me," I said. Then I reached for the door. "Good night, Joyce." She gasped. "Aaron, please." But the door was already swinging shut. Titan growled low beside me, and Luna barked from down the hall. Before I closed it completely, I met her eyes one last time. "If you care about that child even a little," I said, "you'll walk away now, while you still can." The door clicked into place. I stood there, breathing slow, heart steady. Outside, I could still hear her sobbing, but I didn't open the door again. Titan started barking again, sensing the tension. The baby's crying escalated into panicked wails. The door was still open, letting the night's thick humidity seep into the house. My jaw clenched, my hand tightened on the doorknob. "You're not coming in," I said icily. "We're done." Her face contorted, desperation, sorrow, hatred. They all flashed through her eyes in a single broken loop. She was a shell of the confident woman I once knew, or thought I knew. She glared at me, voice shaking. "You can't do this! You ruined me, turned everyone against me, manipulated the finances, built your father's company into a fortress so I had no claim. Now you're acting heartless. You're the villain, Aaron." I gave a short, bitter laugh. "Maybe I am, but let's be clear. You asked for a divorce while groping your ex in a nightclub. You lied about the baby. You bed-hopped until the kid came out a color that doesn't match any man you were honest with. Don't paint me as the only sinner here." She opened her mouth, but the words died in her throat. Tears choked her. The baby's cries turned frantic. Birds scattered from a nearby tree. Without another word, I stepped back over the threshold and slammed the door in her face. The last thing I saw, her stunned expression, the infant's wrinkled face twisted in a wail, and her eyes brimming with betrayal. Then the door clicked shut. I stood there for a long moment, heart pounding. Titan and Luna whined, ears flat. Through the thick wood I heard muffled crying, a soft pounding. I didn't move. My final gift to her, if you could call it that, was the resolve to send her away. Let her blame me for her ruin. let her rewrite the story in her head. But no part of me would rescue her again. That chapter was closed.